it's funny because yeah, these
It's good
these sort of
because
things happen.
this happens, yeah. But then, it's all good.
I think this is a clear way of showing people that even though things might not be in your complete control and things might not
Yeah,
go your way, you can still make do. I mean, just you gotta be resourceful. So
that's
let
right.
me go ahead and tell our audience a little bit about. So we were originally going to go ahead and do this a webinar on Zoom, and it started acting up. So we had to migrate quickly towards Click Meeting, which is another platform we use, and that's why we're all here. So yeah, it's one of the clear ways how the industry itself evolves. It makes use of all of the tools that you have at your disposal, and well, yeah, this is the same thing we want to go ahead and try to apply to Pilates.
Yeah. Especially now, right? The way the state of the state is, and now everybody's online doing classes and stuff. So yeah, there's always that potential for the glitch in technology, right?
And more than just technology in the way that people do things. So usually people are a little bit reluctant to change to exactly things that they don't usually manage, and it's difficult. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's a hard transition, especially for those that aren't accustomed to do things like this. But it's quick to learn, and once you get the hang of it, it's actually very effective.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yep. I've been doing, actually, I'll just segue into a little bit about myself, but when I went to school, I have a master's in dance, and it's a master's in dance and technology. And so at the time that I was going through it, um, computers and doing editing and all that stuff was relatively different. It was different, definitely. We were using video cameras instead of our phones. I don't even know. I'm not quite so sure I had a phone back then. But I was working with motion capture technology, and so that was what my thesis was, which was great because at the time it was like cutting edge 3D animation and um, putting skins on whatever the animation. And long story short, I really was fortunate that I got to learn how to use all these tools way back when, even when I was doing my own website and I had to do HTML, and nowadays it's just plug and play. So it I have seen a lot of that as well come into play, like what works really well and what is really not working well, kind of sort of the same thing that we're segueing into with me talking about the industry, I guess, the industry at hand. But yeah, I do have a fair amount of, believe it or not, technology background, but um, more so Pilates. It's pretty
That's good.
eclectic.
I mean, and there's a very important part of what you just mentioned. Now, before it was something that required much more knowledge, much more like control over like actually knowing how to use it. Now it's just plug and play. There's many different types of alternatives to make it easy for those people that are not accustomed to using something like this, but of course they can go ahead and learn. And there's tutorials, there's various options. You can tailor it to what you really need.
Yeah. Yeah. And you and I had that conversation too. I mean, if you don't mind if I talk about what you guys do too, just a little bit, because I
Of
think
course.
it's really interesting with all of these online courses going on with the state of the state that the country's in, globally. We have all gone online and we're communicating more with each other online, and we're even now teaching virtually, right? So I'm a Pilates instructor, and I have also done that as well. But what I thought was interesting when I was introduced to you from a friend of mine, Tracy, actually, she was on this, I think, last week or a week before. Um, we had talked about how you guys, your what software, scheduling software, or what have you, is now incorporating video, right? And you can do live video, you can do recorded video, and you can have that as part of the platform, which I think is awesome. And the reason why I bring this up is because I really feel like that's where we're going, right? And people are really enjoying, from what I understand, because I've done a lot of research, I'm watching a lot of people on Instagram and Facebook and Zoom, and I'm following them and seeing how they are structuring their classes. and I, it's good. It's not so good, some of it, but we're reaching and trying to find different ways to promote ourselves and keep ourselves relevant in what's happening today. So yeah, I was really excited to hear that you guys are doing that, offering that in your platform.
Yeah, I mean, once we saw the way that things were going to actually go down, our Department of Technology, they went ahead and thought ahead. They said, well, okay, well, this is something that definitely isn't going to go away quickly.
Mm-mm.
Let's find a solution for our clients, because if they're going to be closing, which was imminent, this was we're talking about February, we're going to have to go ahead and give them some tools that might be able to help them maintain some sort of communication with their clients, so it's not completely null. Now, we already have I mean, we already know that in Pilates, for overseas classes, for those classes that you use like online with other instructors, other Pilates gurus, you already used to use a online classes. Now, when we go ahead and further develop this and go ahead and implement it within a software, then it gives tools to our customers to actually be able to manage to like to continue managing their business by updating their schedules, by offering the classes via paid versions, which is in
Right.
these times very important.
Oh yeah.
If income isn't coming in, well, I mean, not to be redundant, but you're going to have to go ahead and perhaps let go some of your employees, some of your best instructors, and everyone's going to have a hard time. Now, the same goes for the people that are well, in lockdown and home. They might be a little bit out of their regular zone of comfort. They might not know what they can use, like invest their time in. So this is going to go ahead and help basically everyone along the way, both that the end user, which is the person that actually does the Pilates classes and stuff, instructors and studio owners. So
Yeah,
I
I love
agree
that because
completely.
it's like I told you,
Important.
it's like one-stop shopping, which is great. And it's funny, I want to talk about this, the business as usual, right? We're sort of talking about that is, are we really going to go back to business as usual? Are we really going to go back to direct studio type teaching? Yes and no. I feel that as the online presence is growing, more people are enjoying staying home and working out. More people are aware of, um, even though things are being lifted, we still have to do social distancing. We still need to take precautions, and this is going to last for a long time. We don't really know, but at least right for 2 more weeks, and that's at bare minimum. Um, I feel that this online way of teaching is wonderful. If you look at it from the client side, they're just basically rolling out of bed, putting on some clothes, getting on their mats, done, moving on to the next thing. Um, some like it live, some like it recorded, some are being paid, or clients are paying, some are doing donation based, some are doing it for free. And I want to circle back on that as well.
Of course.
But it's exciting. Like, this is the reason why it's so exciting for me. And I've been in this industry a long time, like longer than I probably should share. But I have seen it all. Like, I have, like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've seen it go from really classical Pilates, moving into to traditional Pilates, moving into fitness Pilates, moving into corporate Pilates, and a franchise. And now, excuse me, we are disseminating what each client is trying to disseminate, where they want to go. Do I want to stay traditional, classical? Do I want fitness? Do I want to do franchise? Whatever the case may be. Um, all of it was getting a little crazy, out of hand, away from class, like really traditional Pilates. And some people can argue with me on that, and that's fine. But what I love about what's happened is it's gone full circle. And now we're back teaching mat Pilates, which is the groundbreaking ground of Pilates. Like, that is your classical way to teach it. And what I think is so wonderful about that is that it's really forcing all Pilates instructors to get back to basics, right? Why did we get this in the first place? Why are we doing this? Well, we're obviously helping our clients. get fit, strong, flexible, whatever the case may be. But now we're on the mat. That is your basis, the foundation for Pilates. Anything after that is built upon the mat class. So I think it's fantastic that globally people are on their mats doing their due diligence. And so it's really, how are we going to come out of this? Are we going to go back to that far extreme like fitness Pilates? Or are people, clients going to go, gosh, I really dig this classical stuff and blah, 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 blah. So I think it's wonderful what's happening, whether or not we're making money off of it. I mean, that's another entirely different topic that I'll get to in a minute. But I am, like, as a Pilates aficionado, excited that we've broken that fast paced um, type of exercise, I guess, for Pilates, and we've really gone back to what it really is, what it truly
I
is.
I agree, and that transition to something fast-paced, to something more steady, you're seeing it in all industries, not just Pilates. So, for example,
Right.
people used to rush out of their homes, go ahead and commute to their work, maybe 20, 30 minutes, even more, and then they'd have to go ahead and make sure that they did all of their work on time. Now we're watching a transition towards everyone that they're just staying at home. As you said, they can just roll out of bed, maybe get up about an hour or two later, make breakfast. If they live with their families, they can go and have a great time with them too, and then do everything that they usually did. So we're seeing people working from home, and
Yes.
things that you might have not contemplated before, but they're pretty basic. They're ways of reducing the time that you spend on different activities that might not be as essential. So I
Yeah.
think that this of what you're mentioning, going back to the basics on terms of doing Pilates on a mat, that might be very comfortable for someone that's just starting out. So you might be attending to a whole new client
Exactly.
base that didn't exist before because it
Right.
wasn't something that was being explored.
Right.
So I think this is going to be a very good opportunity for everyone. And the question that you made, is this something that's going to be durable, or are we just going to go ahead and scram back to what was going on? I think it's going to be a little bit of both. People are, I mean, they're yearning to go back to do what they used to do, but I'm sure that many will find that they can actually incorporate this to their everyday lives, especially Pilates studios. They can go ahead and offer the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm that way too. I'm jonesing to get back to do something. I've often, most of my clients are at home, right? So that's gone to a screeching halt. But I have been able to do it virtually, right, with the Pilates equipment and without. It's been great. I'm very fortunate that I could do that. Not everybody is. So
True.
what are we doing, right? Are we just kind of hanging back and waiting to go back to business as usual, or are we actually going, okay, this is a perfect time, I have all this time on my hands, I really can reinvent myself and I can become this entrepreneur that I've always wanted to become, right? Or that's fine, or you can go back to the studio. Now I know, just in hearsay, that it's not going to go back to the business as usual, because we still have social distancing to consider. So there's that. Do I, as an instructor, want to be exposed to those people in the studio? Do the people that come in wearing masks and gloves, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, everything's shifting. Do I want to touch the equipment? Do I need to bring in my own? So there's a lot of things to consider before we move into the space that we were in, making the money that we were, being as extremely busy as we were, going from studio to studio and commuting from place to place. Um, but and I want people to understand that I think this is so glorious, because now is such a great opportunity to do make money for yourself in a different way than you're used to, and to brand yourself and to really embrace who you are, right? You're not just a Pilates instructor, you are helping people. And how are you doing that? What is your way of doing that and branding? And how do you get yourself out there, right? Um, but you can just research, watch, work with you guys. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it so that you are still functioning as a Pilates instructor, still making money, still loving and helping people and taking care of yourself at the same time. So there is a lot that's happening, that's changing. I really think that it was just, for me, my personal opinion, it was getting bastardized with how Pilates was growing exponentially really fast with certain companies, said companies, and putting Pilates curriculum in a box. You can only teach this way, this how, la la la. So a lot of Pilates instructors really don't know that there's a lot more to the exercises than what they've been taught or allowed to teach. And I think now that we're back to our basics of Pilates, we can create, we are now free to create our own curriculum, right? We can keep it traditional. We can add stuff, add props to it, add more flexibility, put in a little bit of yoga, just be really creative and exciting. And like, let's get back to, um, exciting exercises that are really going to help our clients, but are going to keep us going and generating. I think for me, that's the most exciting thing, is that we're stepping out of that box into unfamiliar territory, and it's a stretch. It's a stretch, but it's a really good one. It's a really good one. You can look at it this way: oh my gosh, everybody's doing this globally. Or you can look at it this way: everybody is going to see me globally for the first time. I'm not inside four walls 5 to 6 hours a day and seeing just a certain amount of people every single time. No, you can really get yourself out there and introduce yourself to different countries and cultures and connect to people. And that's really what Pilates is about. It really is connection.
I completely agree, and the reach that people are having now is something that they didn't expect of themselves before. So we've had cases that we've been receiving customers from New Zealand, from Hungary, from from Europe itself. You can find a bunch of people that are telling us, "Hey, this isn't something that I used to do, but I heard of that you have these online classes that are integrated, and it's something I want to go ahead and try out." I mean, it's all about giving that the shot of actually trying it out. So a lot of these developments, they're based on trial and error. So you have, I mean, in order to actually perfect the product, or in this case a service like Pilates, you have to really give it a shot. So
Right.
you're going to make mistakes, you're going to want to change some stuff, you're going to have to give it a try first to actually find where you're going to be comfortable in and what you're actually going to be able to like make continuously. So maybe they're comfortable with how Pilates is working originally, but after they make those changes and they try something new, they might find that they can go ahead and do a little bit more personalized classes, or maybe they can go ahead and maintain the class-based version of it. It really depends on each studio, each person, and what they want to go ahead and focus on. For example, I have a couple of clients that are trying to digitalize. So they're creating Instagram accounts, they're creating their Facebook accounts, they're linking their online life with their business, and that's wonderful. It's something that was long overdue, but this is the best time to try it out. So I think
Right.
that's basically a where we have to go ahead and focus on how this is going to actually make a change in people's daily lives.
Right. Right. Yes. And, getting back to that, when we were talking about uh, okay, now that we're talking about online services, let's move into servicing, right? We are Pilates industry community that is of service, and from that service we get paid, right? And we have to pay those bills. So there are a lot of classes that are happening online that's free, and there are a lot that are actually donation based, and there are some that are charging. So I really want to touch base on this because I've talked to so many of my colleagues about it that are doing all three. That one's doing for free, and this one's doing donation based, and this one is getting paid. And I want to remind everybody that's listening is that we place a value on ourselves as instructors, right? What we do in Pilates is a skilled position. It's not easy. It's not easy to do this. We all went through training. It took us a year plus to get through it. A lot of money. Pilates can be very dangerous if taught incorrectly. And now that we're online virtually, Now we're at that point where we're not touching and we're not fixing. We're having to really listen, cue, demonstrate more than we ever have at this point, that there is value in that. And it should be a paid situation. Now, I understand the state of the state. Some people have jobs, some don't. But if you look at it this way, if people are getting it for free now, why would they want to go back to a studio and pay what they were paying before when they know they can get it online for free, right? So you have to look at it as a business structure. We want to support our businesses. We want to support us as entrepreneurs. I have my own business. Listen, I'm a single mom, 2 kids. I got to put food on the table. I'm not going to do Pilates classes for free. I don't really see the need to do that. I have been doing this for 20 years and I add value and I know exactly what to do with you. The other day, I taught a group reformer class. One person didn't even have a reformer, and the other two were relatively seasoned, but it was still like, I have to teach this person how to do it without a reformer and these 2 people to change their springs and make sure that they were doing it. That's skill. That's a lot of skill. And it was a donation based class. Didn't get any money for it. So I didn't understand that. Their clients, I know they're retired, they have money, they could help somebody out that's helping them. So I definitely think there is that huge range. Again, non-paid, donation-based, and paid. But you've got to look at yourself, right? And know you are your own business. Even when you go back to that studio, right? You may not be making as much money as you were before because we're going to have smaller class sizes, right? Social distancing. So there's a lot of things to consider. Again, the ones that don't have the jobs, and I get that can't afford it, totally understand that. Most of the people that are, do you still see me? It was telling me there's like an internet connection.
A little bit, but yeah, I mean, we can still hear you, so that's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think you just want to be careful not to devalue yourself, Pilates, etc., and keep offering things for free. And
Mhm.
I get it. I totally understand it. But when we get back to, and it's not business as usual, it's going to be a new normal, people are going to want to pay less
Yeah,
and
I agree.
less and
And
less.
there's a very important thing that is brought up here by Toby. I see on the comments. When it's a donation-based class, there's ways of trying to make it a little bit more effective. Now, people, they do things on a reward-based system, so it goes for both ends. Both the customer and the person that's offering the service has to have a reward in it to actually be able to carry out the service, right? Now, in this case, for the instructor, it would be very important for them to try to suggest a certain type of donation and make it more emotional. So this is like in terms of business, if you make it a little bit more like you pressure them to pay them a little bit, if they feel satisfied, they'll feel the obligation to do so. In any other case, they just outright just ignored you. So
Yeah,
people work a lot on emotions. Now there's the other side of the story, which is that if you give a strong enough message, you might be able to actually make more money out of this. It really depends on a business strategy. So these donations might be able to incorporate people that might not be able to pay a class, but you know that in the end, there's other people that might be able to offset that balance of payment. So it's really about trying trial and error. It all comes back to that.
it
Give
is.
it a shot with
100%.
paid classes, maybe those free classes that if it, I mean, people are a bit reluctant to do so, but maybe that could be the intro to get them hooked on a paid
Right.
class. So
Right.
it's really about
Fascinating.
working it
I
out,
have been
giving it a
watching this
shot.
for weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been looking at it for weeks, and there are people that are just doing it for free. But I agree because I would do that too. Let's do a live class. If you like it, we're going to segue into this. Paid portion. It's going to be private, small group. Da, da, da. Yeah, there are definitely ways to do it, and even and I like what Toby said about suggesting it. Like, here's the donation, here's a suggestion of what you can pay. I think that's a great idea. She said that her family's making more money than they did in
I love it.
person, which is great.
It's great.
Which is great. Yeah, yeah. It's part of being an
She should show us
entrepreneur.
what she's doing, like what secret she has to that, because I think this is important for everyone else that's trying to struggle on how to make ends meet.
That's the whole point. We all are in the same boat. We all need to make money. There are a small percentage of people that still have jobs that are lucky enough to do that, right? So, it's give and take, 100%. You gotta, if we're pouring out this energy as Pilates instructors, right? And you did say there's energy in that if that person's feeling satisfied with what they're getting, right? If it's a good class, yes, it should
Of course.
be rewarded.
I believe it. I actually believe in that reward-based system. There has to be value for everyone, or else you're
Yes,
just going to be one more of all of that. I mean, the world's full of people, and these people have the option to do different things. If you're not offering them something that they want to continue doing, they're just going to move on to something else. So what Toby's mentioning there is also very important. Uh, Digital platforms such as Bibi or Zoom or Click Meeting or any of these platforms that enable you to reach out to people that might not be in physical distance. This actually, it might not even be just triple. It can actually exponentially increase your reach over the people that you actually can have influence on. So if you
right.
properly book on Instagram and you start making this fan base and you keep your up to date on what you're doing, you can potentially have 3 or 4 more people, 4 times the people that you usually had in a class, and this can compensate for a little bit lower pricing. Now, I believe we were talking last time that we've also noticed that personalized classes, they're almost the same being taught online. The reason behind this is because there's still value within the class, and you being able to see them on the screen as we're talking right now, being able to correct their posture, the way that they're making a certain movement, or as you mentioned, the springs on the reformer, this all adds up value, and that's still perceived even if it's online. It's a little bit more trickier when it's a larger class
Mm-hmm.
because you can't have that same touch. But if you find the way of actually doing that, you're going to be able to generate a lot of more hype. I mean, I'm sure I can go ahead and go to YouTube Live and I can find maybe 10, 20 classes at this time being taught. But how many of them are actually interesting enough for me to stay? I think that's the way that Pilates studio owners have to think to find out what they can offer and in which way they want to offer it. It may be
Right.
donation based, free, paid, etc.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I just encourage my fellow Pilates instructors to really consider not doing free classes, even if it's just a small, $10 to take your class. And I understand mat class. There's not a whole lot of equipment involved, but when you're starting to move into the higher level equipment, that is going to require more skill. You can charge a little bit more, and $10 is not that hard to uh, come up with. I think that the most of the people that are doing Pilates can afford it, right? I understand a lot of people have lost their jobs. So yeah, I mean, this isn't a permanent situation, but we really need to drive that value and make sure it remains so that when we do go back to our new normal of business, people are still willing to take Pilates and pay for it, right? So that we go back to making our incomes and being able to pay our bills. I think that's just my opinion. I think it's really important. Certainly, offering it a couple of times, out of the kindness of your heart is wonderful. But I would venture to say there's a very large percentage of people that are afraid to say it, and I'm not, that we really should be getting paid for our services. 100%.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course, and it's important to be able to time things properly. So, for example, this is the land of opportunity, and I'm talking about the world itself. So Tracy, for example, is telling us that she has clients in the UK now, and she's
Yeah.
all across the other hemisphere, which is basically in the US. She's from Oklahoma. We have people doing stuff for Australia, for a bunch of other people that you would have never had the chance to actually reach out to. And yeah, it's important to find the way of making this work. It's not going to be perfect. You have to make a different strategies and try to find out. So, for example, if there's people that don't find much use in a free class. Now, this can have ups and downs, but in my experience and what I've seen, in a couple of examples of clients of ours that use free classes, they use this as a hook to get them on different other stuff. So,
Right.
um, perhaps the reason, or the main reason that free is so like it calls to people out, is because they don't have to put much of their effort except their time. Now, if you think about it, time is actually money. So you're actually making them use time that they would otherwise use on other stuff to listen to you, even if it's a free class. Now, if in that opportunity that you have when they're listening to you or seeing your class or whatever you're actually doing, if you actually generate something that might be worthwhile, you can potentially convert that person into a long-term customer. So
Right.
that's the way. That's the real reason behind a free class. A It could work out. Maybe it can be as they're mentioning in the chat. It can just be a quick introductory snippet. So,
Yeah.
hey,
I saw what
log in
Tracy
here.
said.
We got 15 minutes, and maybe they'll want more. So it all goes about that. It's all about opportunity, creating it, and taking advantage of it.
Right. And, with all these studios being closed too, there's the keeping them engaged, right? It's a way to keep the clientele engaged, right? By offering free classes. Now, the owners are not necessarily teaching, it's the instructors that are. So it would behoove the owners to pay the instructor to teach this free class because we're looking at client retention and who's responsible for retaining that client. We are, right, as instructors, right? The owners are not teaching, right? So they're asking us to do this, and which is great. But it definitely, if it's like Toby said, donation based, you really should put a price tag on it. And here is where you can send the money.
I agree.
So it's really the business owners taking care of the instructors that are retaining the clients so that everybody comes back, right? Yes. So the
It's
free
true.
class, I understand. I love what Tracy said about, a 10 to 15-minute snippet intro. Love it. But I think the idea behind the free class is to keep people engaged, to keep them moving, keep them going, okay, I'm going to continue to take X Pilates studio classes until they reopen and la la la. But do you see the circle that needs to happen? We're talking about clients, instructors, retention, keeping the studio open, money. Studio needs to make money, and so do the instructors, right?
Of
All of it
course.
is, it's the it's
Yeah,
split.
I've seen some examples in which they're almost donation based, but what they're telling is, hey, keep our instructors busy. I mean, we're not making a dime off of this, but all of what we're making is going straight to instructors. People are losing their jobs because there's no money and there's no income coming around, and there's only much that businesses can actually withstand with there's actually no income. So this is also a great strategy that I've seen in Pilates industry and well others in which incentivate their customers to reach out to their more emotional selves and say, I could be in that situation. I'm getting something out of this. Let's go ahead and send $10, $20, and this can actually make a difference for that instructor that otherwise might lose a job. In this economy, where are you actually going to get something that might put food on the table? So this is a win-win situation for everyone, but it still has to follow that the reward-based
Yeah.
system. And
Hmm.
it's primary.
I think it's really interesting because the fitness industry, it has not been affected, as you can see with all these, everybody's doing some sort of class online in every industry. I went to Target the other day to get a couple of yoga blocks because I'm doing yoga online, right? I'm streaming it online. And there was nothing. There was no fitness equipment. It was an empty aisle.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I had two blocks that was left, two of them.
When
And it
normally that
was,
would be full. I mean, not everyone
oh,
buys that every single
totally.
day.
So there, I mean, I guess it depends on what state you're in or what city or whatever, but I would say I don't think the fitness industry is getting hit other than free classes and donation based classes. That's where we could be really jamming in this industry and making some money because people want to work out. And the way that they're doing it, they get outside and run, walk their dogs. Really, that's about all they can do. Maybe bike ride if you're lucky in a certain state, but most of it's inside. Most of it's inside, and people are fishing. Where can I get a class? Where can I get a class? The high. Let's see. I heard a statistic about heart disease is exponentially gone up since COVID has hit and we've gone on lockdown because we're so sedentary. We are sitting in front of our computers on our phones, eating, right? Probably eating more than
A bunch.
we should. And you might get an hour workout a day, but now that there's not so much to do, and if we are not able to work, we can take more classes and do more things. So that's where I feel that I understand people are not working, but there are a lot of people that are, and they can be targeted. And like you said, there's that reward for what you're offering. So I do feel like now more than ever is the time to drive business online, get it up, get it going, get it uploaded somewhere. So you might have that as the back burner passive income, right? When you go back to your studio and work, you can send your clients to your site that you have your recorded workouts where they could do this. You have them do it, whatever, 10, 15, $20 a month, monthly membership where they can go in and do your classes. Like now is the time to supplement what your income was with what it's going to be.
Of course. And this is all about evolving. So, people that just did on demand classes, they're thinking about more long term income streams. So, it's very important that we have a saying back in my home country. It's important that you don't put all your eggs in the same basket, and
Right.
I think this applies to everyone. It's very important to try to have different ways of doing the same thing, because in the end, if one of these income streams falls down, you still have another to go ahead and ride upon. So it's a learning process. I completely agree with what people are saying. It's a matter of time. We're going to find a way of actually making it work.
Oh yeah, it's already working, which is great. And this is what excited me about talking to you the other day. Is having that one spot to go to where I can record my videos and have somebody pay me directly before that they can get on to do that. Whereas right now it's like I'm going to Zoom to do this and I'm paying this company to upload and I'm going to VMO to do that and I'm collecting money at Venmo and Cash App and Zelle and it's everywhere and it's discombobulated and I really think that turns people off. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you is because of the system that you guys have is everything's right there and it's inexpensive. And right now, because you guys are doing, sort of this free thing, which is wonderful. I think that is the wave of the future for, Pilates, but a lot of fitness, a lot in the fitness industry. If people are going to be able to do this on their own, branch out, be an entrepreneur, this would be the way to do it instead of having it all over the place because it's too much to I can see how it would be really overwhelming. And that's why people are sitting back and just
Completely.
waiting until the studio opens. Right.
I
So,
agree.
yeah.
And yeah, to elaborate a little bit about that. So what Amy's saying, what we're doing right now is that um, we saw the opportunity that people have to make a change. Now, people are scared usually when it comes to money, when it comes to investing their time. So what we did was we opened our software. We made it free for the time that businesses are closed. This will basically remove most of everyone's excuses that they make up inside their minds that limit their decision making. So if you have an instructor that's always wanted to always wanted to have their own studio, they want to do their stuff by their own, but the money might have been something that was challenging. Well, now they can go ahead and try us out for free. They're going to have their online payments there. They can coordinate their schedules, get their services online, and they'll have their own personalized app, and it's all included. I mean, it's not going to cost them anything, but it's really going to give them the shot, that opportunity that they were looking for in actually making their business work. Same goes for studio owners, which right now, since they don't have any income stream, they're going to be able to go ahead and make that online transition, have their classes scheduled with their instructors, get recollect their payment online. So it's all about that. It's something that we're thinking is it's something temporary, but it's going to have a long lasting effect within our community. And well, we don't just work with Pilates, but we also work with yoga, with dance studios, barber shops, nail salons. We even have English instructors. So this really opens up to a whole bunch of people that we think might be able to find some value in this, in investing their time in using us. And as with
Yep.
anything, I mean, the people that most want to stay is the people that aren't there, that they don't feel obligated to stay actually, and they stay because they want to. So we don't have any contracts. So I mean, you got a year contract. So this isn't gonna cost you a dime, but you have to stay with us for the following 12 months. Well, it's proven that that sort of stuff doesn't work. It just gives you a different perception towards your clients. So I think this is the reason why, and we're receiving so many calls, and it's wonderful that we have these chats with our customers, our like industry leaders, because this makes a difference. It reaches out to a bunch of people that we wouldn't have been able to in the first place. So that's how this we want to go ahead and work this out.
Yeah, I think, as I've been in this industry a long time, and I have worked for a boutique studio when I first got certified. Then I opened up my own studio, sold it, became a partner with a physical therapist, and sold it to him. Branched out on my own, started teaching by myself at my house locally. Started a teacher training program. Worked for corporate fitness gyms as their Pilates coordinator. Seen it all. Worked for corporate Pilates. That's happening now. And again, like I said, I've seen the gamut of how people are trying to make it happen, make ends meet, right, with whatever systems they're using. And it's interesting. When you and I talked, it was like, why hasn't this come out sooner, right? Where you can just do everything. It's like the perfect timing, Nick. It's really a good time. It's not that I keep pushing this. I'm just looking at it from a perspective as an entrepreneur, because I've been doing this a long time, and being an entrepreneur and doing different things to bring in systems of income outside of that, outside of Pilates. Like you said, when something like this happens, it's not dire straits, but I do see that even looking at from a client base, that they would go to something where they could pay, look at something online, or take a class in person, or whatever. Just having that uh, an easy way for them to access it is really important, especially in these times. Um, People are a little hesitant anyway to do the Venmo stuff. I hear that all the time, and doing their app payments. Um, Maybe not PayPal, but even that, it's like, I'd rather send you a check. Well, these systems are secure, right? I mean, I've worked with Mindbody for years and years too, with my studio, and um, never offered what you guys are offering. So it's really cool that you guys are doing that. And I appreciate you um, being able to offer the things that you guys do. It's wonderful.
Well, it's really a team effort because it's been hard. I can't lie to you. I mean, we've had long hours. Our marketing team, for example, is working around the clock. We've been having webinars every single day for the past 3 weeks, in which we try to offer value to our community. So we have the beauty industry. So we have a bunch of content in Spanish for our Latin American customers, in which we're trying to help them understand the situation, how they can overcome it. Most recently with Tracy's webinar last week, actually the week after that, and now yours, we're also developing our wellness world of wellness days. So it's a start. So we think we're heading in the right direction, and we hope everyone finds their way.
Yeah.
So to circle back to what we're doing, our initiative is to try to help as much people, and I think it's working. People are understanding the reason behind this, and they're by themselves trying to help others by teaching them what they've learned. So that's exactly what we want to go ahead and do, and it's the best time investment that we've found in these times of COVID.
I do too. I do too. Everybody's in this unfamiliar territory now, and it is absolutely the direction that it's headed. Absolutely the direction. This online platform services are not going to go away. I think they're here to stay.
I love it. And I agree. I mean, I think that it would be foolish if we weren't using our time right now to prepare a little bit more for what's coming in. I mean, things are not going to be as bad as they're yeah, chanting outside and saying that this is the end. Of course not. This is the end of how we were seeing things before. That's basically it at the beginning, but and everyone's going to understand that change isn't always bad. Change might come with a little bit of kinks and stuff. I
Right.
mean, terrible things might happen, but I mean, if you focus yourself on finding what's good, you're always going to find the right way of seeing things.
Right. Right. I agree with you. I miss positivity. I love change.
I
I've
love
done
it
a
too.
lot of change in the last month, moving states. Yeah, crazy. Going through the it's been pretty crazy, but it's all been really good. Yeah.
Excellent. And well, to our audience, I want to appreciate the time that you've invested in being here. Well, we're constantly looking at what you're commenting. So if you have any questions for Amy or anything that maybe we can help you with,
Yeah.
it would be a great time to go ahead and ask. I mean, we might not be experts in what we've seen here, or maybe Amy is, but I'm certainly learning a bunch. But we can definitely go ahead and maybe provide our insight and what we've seen from other people that might be useful for you. So let's give them a little bit, maybe about a minute or two if they want to go ahead and add something there um, to be able to
Don't be
continue. Yeah.
shy. Don't be shy. I'm okay if you don't agree with what I'm saying.
I like to actually see other points of view. So if there's
Yeah.
perhaps someone that has a different like maybe opinion on something, we'd love to hear it.
Don't be shy.
All right, I think we got to a point where we mostly have everyone agreeing upon us. That's difficult. I mean, nobody in the same room. Even it could be five people, and there's always going to be one that doesn't agree with it. So I think we're doing a good job.
Well, so far it looks like people are agreeing. Um, I just really appreciate you guys allowing me to have a platform to speak my truth. I often search for that. I feel that sometimes I can be the voice for people that really want to share how they're really feeling, and I hear a lot as it is, and so I love to be able to uh, voice the how we're all feeling. It's can be scary, but like you said, if we look at it from a perspective of what is going, like I talked about the short and the long term, this is all short term, but long term, this could be really huge and beneficial to everyone, the entrepreneur, the studio owner, the corporate Pilates gyms. This could all be a very good, viable way of bringing in streams of income and keeping people busy, working, fit. Yeah, so thank you for that.
No, I love it, and it's one of the reasons we take our time to do this. So, as I had mentioned, I'm a salesperson. That's what I do for a living. But having this as an alternative, doing something that it gets me out of my comfort zone, it's great for me. It gives a voice to different types of people that, in other case, they might be just watching TV at home or maybe talking with a relative. I think this is a great use of our time, and I appreciate you actually saying yes. I mean, I think it was very important for the people that have been watching and the people that will watch this on our YouTube channel. I think this can help them guide them a little bit better about what they want to do in the times of, well, in these times that they're actually in lockdown and doing something that they're not accustomed to do.
Yeah, and you know what? I would love to talk to anybody. Like if anybody wants to get in touch with me and talk a little bit more about this, and Joseph is online. He's a person that I've helped sort of get him moving in an online platform. I'm happy to talk to people and help them out too. Is it okay if I send them to my website and they can reach out to me? Would that be all right?
Of course, I mean everything's on the table right here. There's nothing that
It's my name, amycady.com, and my
let's go ahead and write it
email
down here
address
so
is
we
on
can
there.
go ahead
Yeah.
and
Are you
write it.
typing?
Yeah,
So
let's
there
go
is
ahead
a
and type it
question.
down here. Yeah, there's a question from the audience.
Thank you. What do you say to the studios who say we are giving back to the clients with offering free classes? Well, I think that is, yes, that's true as long as you are getting paid for it by that studio owner. Um, I agree, but not every single day do a free class. I think that it should, yeah, it 100% should be temporary. I don't think it should be the norm for the studio. The studio is looking at it in terms of client retention, but the studio also needs to look at it as, how do we keep our really good instructors, right? They can be teaching these classes, but we want them to come back too. So how are we going to take care of them to make sure that they come back, because they're the face of the studio right now by teaching these free classes. So if the studios are not paying their instructors, that is wrong on so many levels. If you are a studio owner and you do not want to pay your instructor, then you need to step up and teach the class yourself and not get paid for it. That's my opinion. If you want to retain your clients and you cannot take care of your instructors, then you should get down on the mat and do it, right? And if
Mhm.
you are an owner that doesn't know how to do Pilates, you really need to think seriously about how you're going to retain your clients and your staff by taking care of both. So if you do that free class, pay your instructor. That's kind of how I feel about that.
Yeah, and there's different ways of doing that too. So it doesn't have to be monetary completely. It can be more of a lead by example thing. So they can probably go ahead and serve as a recently, like someone that's learning Pilates. So they can go ahead and do a live class with the instructor and show people how easy it is to learn Pilates at home. So there's really ways of being flexible enough to go ahead and try these things. But
Yeah,
as Amy is mentioning, it has to have a the reward for the person that's actually like giving that value to the class, which in this case is the instructor. It has to be worthwhile for everyone, and I
right
can't stress
now
it enough. I love that.
money is like the thing right now that everybody's like, oh my god, right? We're out of money. Our country's out of money. But what they could do instead, my girlfriend mentioned at some point, well, then maybe there's a way we could barter, right? Okay, I can teach you this free class, but my hair, my roots, can you take care of that when this finally lifts, right? Or said studio owner, okay, so and so, you teach this class for free. I'm going to give you, most studios sell clothes or something. I'll give you an outfit or toe socks or something that you're going to be able to use. Yeah, that's going to be of value. It has to be back and forth. I mean, this free stuff is just not really working for the instructor. I'll tell you that. Clients love it. I get it. But there needs to be some sort of, like you said, there has to be some sort of reward. Money's obviously going to be first. Then we're talking about bartering or gift giving, you know,
It could be a
anything.
balance. You can
Yeah.
balance it out with different methods, as you're mentioning. It could be in exchange for a service, or maybe a favor due in the near future. I mean,
Gift
the
card,
idea is
grocery
to
store
get
gift card,
exactly.
something.
There's a
Yeah.
bunch of things we can do. I mean, and in the end, this is going to be something that's going to be temporary, but this creates some sort of loyalty between people, in which you don't feel that you owe them, but you actually want to do something extra for them because they did something they didn't have to do in a time where, well, I mean, they could have dedicated themselves to another thing. So that's the most important way of viewing it right here. It can be beneficial for everyone, but keep in mind, I mean, put yourself in the other person's shoes too.
One more thing I want to mention is the 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 loyalty between instructor and studio owner, and if that studio is not necessarily taking care of their instructors, and this is a question for you guys, and I have my opinion about it. How are you handling if a client reaches out to you from a studio, right? Studio's closed. They're not able to take care of you or pay for you. They're not really engaging with their clients. But those clients are reaching out to you. Or you're on your own Facebook page doing a live mat class. Some people might be members, right? Or friends of yours on Facebook, and they want to start doing classes with you. Is it free game? Is it free for all? Is there loyalty between instructor and studio owner? Because getting down to brass tacks, when you go back to that studio, they're not really going to be able to pay you out of the gate what you were getting paid before. And they're probably more apt to hire somebody that's less expensive with less experience than pay that experienced, not overpriced or overpaid person, but what we are worth, right? So think about that too in terms of how, where you're going to come out of this, right? How are you going to do it? There's always going to be some sense of loyalty between the two of them, but I really think at the end of the day, you have to look out for yourself. You really need to make sure that your ducks are in place. Everything's on the up and up with both. If you don't feel comfortable with it, tell the studio owner. But I mean, I think this is a real big thing that's happening right now. There's some studios that are like, we can't do anything. You're on your own. You're gonna put your class out there. You're gonna collect the money. It's on you. Okay, so then what do I do with these clients when we go back to the studio, right? So it's a
Of
really
course.
interesting question.
Yeah, and it's as Tracy's mentioning there, ethics comes along the way in all levels of this. It can be as easy as accepting, I don't know, government aid, or helping your neighbor out, or taking advantage of a situation that came up front. I mean, it really, really has to do about what you are as a person, what intentions you have, the relationships you have around yourself, with your businesses, if you work for someone else, like with that person. It's important, but I'd like to leave maybe this reflection among people. What type of people, what type of person do you deem you are? I mean, is it something that, even if it's, I mean, it could be, let's say, like your own initiative, which I think would be okay in case of a studio owner. If you're able to get clients on this end, and they're not doing much on their end to actually make that customer come in, well, I mean, it's not about fairness, but it's about a it's your effort. So I think it's your reward, and that's it. There's not much to it, I guess.
Right, right. It's just a really good question. Tracy posts a really good thing. We could talk about ethics all day long.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
always going to
it's a
find
good
something
topic.
there. It's
Yeah,
important.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think we touched it. I think we did it. No one's really asking any questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, yeah. In any case, and before we wrap things up here, I'm gonna go ahead and post our information there for from Biwi, in case you guys, people, the audience that are watching, and well, anybody in the future that might be watching this, if you're interested, or you know anybody that might be struggling a little bit about what they can do to digitalize their business, to maybe find different ways of doing something with their studio, you can always reach out. Someone from our team will help you out. And of course, if you want to go ahead and contact Amy, you're going to have her contact info too. So I'll leave the room a little bit available once we finish up, and with our contact info, so you guys can go ahead and make use of that. Okay. And once again, well, I really appreciate your time, Amy.
Yes.
It's been wonderful. I mean, I two out of two. Had a blast on both of the webinars I've hosted, and yeah, it's been awesome. I like it a lot. Hope you've had a good
Good.
time
Did you
too.
learn some more about Pilates? Are you going to do it now?
Every day. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go ahead and squat down there and do something right now, but I will very soon.
Nicholas, donation based only. Yeah, right.
I get it. I get it. It's important.
Yeah. Thanks, Nicholas. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Now you're it too. So, to everyone listening, I bid you farewell. Have a great rest of your day. Try to make the best use of your time. And to Amy, well, as I mentioned, it's been lovely talking to you. Really,
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right,
Thank
so
you. Thank
I'll leave
you.
your info there. Your well, where we are left your website. You guys can go ahead and visit her website, and I'll leave our social media and our YouTube page, so you guys can go ahead and check out more of our content. Okay, so
Yay.
thank you,
Thank
team.
you,
Have a
BWE software.
very welcome. Bye bye.
Have a
Have a
great
good time.
day. Thanks, everybody,
Take
for
care.
joining.